Welcome back to Gothic Homemaking. If you travel to Portland, Oregon, it won't be long before you hear the slogan, "Keep Portland Weird." It's a motto or phrase inspired by Austin, Texas, another city that prides itself on its eccentric peculiarities. Recently I was doing a concert in Portland, and I stuck around for an extra day to check out some of Portland's weirdest attractions. And I started with one of the strangest. Take a look. I jumped out of an Uber and was instantly met by a menagerie of strange creatures, and I thought to myself, I must be in the right place. And sure enough, I'd found the Peculiarium. Little did I know at the time that these posters for alien autopsies, zombie brains, and haunted dollhouses were all things I'd see inside of this peculiar place. Immediately upon entering, I was met by this gentle giant and I was sold. I paid the $5 cover and entered the museum. My first encounter was with Krampus, and since this place is largely interactive, I figured why not snap some shots for the old holiday album. Next, I found a cabinet full of car models from my childhood, and it was then that I knew that I was really going to love this place. Further down the hallway, some flying creature led me to the haunted dollhouse. Wow, this was one of the most amazing miniatures I've ever seen and quite possibly my favorite exhibit in the Peculiarium. As a stop-motion animator, this gave me serious model envy. Honestly, if I saw this still, I would think it was a real house. Flip it around and it gets even weirder, with scenes of whimsical murder and mayhem and lots of gore. And if you love gore, you'll love the next exhibit, where a Schoolhouse Rock-like character named Sydney the Kidney explains the process of getting your organs stolen when staying in a cheap hotel in a third world country. It'll make you wish your stomach had been stolen. There was also a vampire killing kit on display that looked super legit. Though I'm nearly certain that second bottle is full of pee-pee. There was an installation on spontaneous combustion and some mind-bending force perspective art. They also have Portland's grandest kaleidoscope for a super trippy experience. But since my favorite trips are to outer space, I loved the Cosmic Portland installation, a small room where you could enter and pretend you're a replicant on the bridge of Deep Space Nine, trying to pull a fast one on Hal until the Earth stands still. I honestly didn't want to come back to Earth. Just around the corner was the alien autopsy, and it wasn't until after I left that I realized the hole in the table was to enable you to stick your head in for selfies. Talk about not using my head. Now this is a terribly composed shot, and the reason I left it in was because it describes my taste so well. Bats, Star Trek, and monsters. Which also demonstrates why the Peculiarium is so amazing. It answers the question, what if super geeky set builders, model makers, and special effects artists were given a few rooms to play around with, and the results are the best $5 I've ever spent. Well, it was about then that I needed a snack, and you can't really talk about Portland without mentioning a beloved confectioner that's bringing a taste of Portland's unique creativity to other cities. If you find yourself in front of this wall, you're across the street from something delicious, the first location of Portland's own Voodoo Doughnut. Voodoo Doughnut is known for their zany, extravagant donut offerings, with the voodoo doll being their mascot and probably most popular item. It's vegan like many of their other confections. Their popularity has seen them expand to many locations. I've been to the one in Austin, as well as the one at Universal Orlando, seen here. And I've been to the Hollywood location. In true Hollywood fashion, their mascot there looms large over the facade of the building, while inside you'll learn that the magic is in the hole. Regardless of the location, I'm a sucker for a brand that has a coffin-shaped menu with so many delicious treats. Now, I think most people probably are attracted to their whimsical, extremely colorful creations. But, being a monster kid, naturally I was drawn to this one, Diabolos Rex. Well, truth be told, I bought a bunch of them, and as I reached in, it was as if the voodoo doll was yelling, "Please don't eat me!" Woo!
close call.
So, what does a satanic donut taste like, you ask? Well, I think this guy will vouch for me when I say it tastes as weird and wonderful as the magical land it came from, Portland, Oregon. Hopped up on sugar from eating too many voodoo dolls. I was out! What have you got there? Put that away! Well, I live with this obnoxious oddity. But if you're in Portland and you're looking for oddities and curiosities, you just might find them at Paxton Gate. Paxton Gate is a self-described purveyor of ethically sourced taxidermy and other items pertaining to the natural sciences. And in fact, the store looks a lot like a natural history museum with quite a lot of taxidermy and other curiosities. Looking around, you'll see a lot of specimens from the small to the rather large, and I'd suggest reading the information on their website as to how they're acquired, because I wouldn't want to steer you wrong. They've got the insides of animals too, in the way of a very large bone collection, including my least favorite species, humans. But seriously though, they do have excellent human bone specimens, though they're quite expensive. They also have wet specimens of various varieties and feature vulture culture fine art as well. I particularly loved these steampunk lamps. Now, some of these items can get pretty pricey, but if you have eyes for less expensive items, they have lots of things within your budget so you don't have to leave empty-handed or empty-tentacled. And for those who prefer to have items that don't come from animals, there's lots of whimsical home decor items like this magnifying glass that I really quite like. With something like this in hand, you can really focus on their jewelry collection, their candles and soaps, a large collection of books on all manner of scientifically macabre subjects, minerals and crystals for the budding geologists, and scientific equipment and projects for curious minds. Coming here is really quite a lot like visiting a museum where the exhibits are for sale. There are two Paxton Gate locations in Portland, and the original, of course, is in San Francisco. Well, the night was falling and it was time for dinner, and I had my dinner at a mummy-themed restaurant called Mummies. But you can see my full review in a video called 5 Monster-Themed Restaurants to Die For, right here on this channel. So there's no need to get all wrapped up in mummies again. Oh yeah? Anyway, I didn't have dessert at Mummies. I saved that haunting experience for one of Portland's most peculiar cafes. Take a look. On an unassuming street, there's an even more unassuming house, and I'm well aware that walking up to a place like this is how horror movies start. I arrived at Rimsky Korsakoffee House early. Named for the deceased Russian composer, this place is open nights for mostly hot drinks and homemade desserts. At 7 p.m. sharp, I was allowed in. If it looks like I've entered the home of your eccentric aunt, allow me to tell you the tale. As the legend goes, the owner of this home, Goody Cable, delighted in throwing soirees to share her love of classical music with her friends. Nearly 3 decades ago, she finally decided to open to the public. Each table is dedicated to a different deceased composer, which is fitting for a place that's allegedly haunted. Small lamps, antique lighting fixtures, and other quirky lighting solutions give the place a ghostly atmosphere. Honestly, this place looks more fit for a seance than a classical music recital. Quirky knickknacks and kitschy decor also lend the place an almost Halloween-like aura. And speaking of treats, the menu is full of desserts and drinks. I ordered a banana split and a spiced cider. The cider was exactly what I needed on this winter's night in Portland. The banana split, well, that's just due to my lack of impulse control. Now, I've mentioned this place is allegedly haunted, and I will tell you that the tables are known to move on their own. Some slowly rise, some slowly turn, and one disappears entirely into a wall. Is it ghosts or just mischievous cafe staff? I'll let you decide. Though I've got a hunch that this is the table that disappears, and I think my theory is pretty sound. The adventure doesn't end there. If you venture upstairs, past the creepy doll, and what looks like thousands of years of collaging, you might just find the bathroom, but not before being mocked by a series of doors that seem like they've read a dozen Lewis Carroll books. But when you finally find the bathroom, you'll know because, wait for it, wait for it, you'll be transported to the bottom of the sea. If you make it back to land, you might notice a sign under the creepy doll with some good advice that I couldn't agree with more. Now, they don't accept cards here, so be prepared to plunk down some cold hard cash. But overall, what I found most strange about this place? That you can pay for your meal with a personal check. If you take a first date to Rimsky's and they don't think it's weird, you may have found yourself a keeper. How droll. If drinks and dancing are in the cards that night, I'd suggest taking the 10-minute walk down from Rimsky's to the Lovecraft Bar, named after famed horror author HP Lovecraft. Step inside and you'll swear you've fallen into a cosmic horror inferno. Surrounded by sigils from the Necronomicon, you won't know up from down as you stand in awe before incredible reproductions of Lovecraft's most ghastly creations, gazing back at you from walls plastered with the souls of the damned. Slink into one of these tentacled booths and whisper screams of unbearable madness to your date. Or maybe just sidle over to the bar that looks like something out of a voodoo nightmare where people go to sell their souls. Say hello to my friend Margot, who I'm sure will fix you a magic elixir for you to drink up. While I scull this, head over to the side lounge where you'll find Cthulhu art as well as the centerpiece of that room, a coffin you're welcome to get inside of. Though the staff is not shy about telling you not to mess with the lids. Like any good paranormal investigator, I recorded actual ghosts there, as you can see by these orbs. The madness it induced caused me to jump through this window and onto the dance floor. There, through wrought iron cobwebs, I saw an exit sign, but don't be fooled. While your body can leave any time, your sanity will forever remain here in the care of HP Lovecraft and his undead pals. I heard that if you're lucky, your skull might become part of the decor, and you'd be in good hands. Or at least that's what I was told by the bathroom attendant, who seemed like a pretty trustworthy guy. And that's my short list of weird attractions in Portland, Oregon. Of course, there's many, many more, and I look forward to covering more of them when I perform in Portland again next year. Do you have anything you'd like to share with our viewers before we say goodbye, Mr. Orville Dedenbacher? I'm sorry, what was that? This is fun.